Bienvenue à vous toutes et à vous tous dans cette nouvelle interview. On a encore une fois beaucoup de chance, Ben, puisque nous allons recevoir Sam, le chanteur de Architects. On est là pour la sortie du nouvel album. Je préviens, cette interview est enregistrée 1 mois avant la sortie, donc on va en parler avec les conditions qui font que ce n'est pas encore là.
Toi, tu l'as un petit peu entendu, mais moi,
Toi, tu ne l'as pas entendu.
J'ai entendu que les 2 singles.
Alors, il y a 4 titres.
Ah oui,
il y a déjà 4 morceaux, mais il y a eu 2 singles et 4 morceaux. Ouais. Mais ceci dit, on va en parler. Bon, je ne veux pas trop en dire. Tu as le droit de poser quand même tes questions, Ben. Hein.
Avec plaisir.
Et on est avec Sam. Hello, how are you?
Hello, I'm very well, thank you.
What means Paris to you?
I love Paris, actually. I really love Paris. I always have done. I've been here a couple of times with my wife on holiday, and we've always had fantastic shows here. Dan met his wife here when she was living in Paris. So yeah, Paris is a special place in Architects' heart.
So I just want to congratulate you and all the band, of course, for this 11th.
Yeah.
It's hard to me to say that.
Yeah, it's hard for me to do it. Yeah.
There's everything in it. All the career of Architects, we can find it in this album. I think so.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think we've tried to obviously bring in elements of things that we've done before, while at the same time trying to push it and be as creative as possible. But you learn a lot over being in a band for this amount of time, and I think if you're going to release a record at this point in your band's career, it has to be really, really good. It can't just be average, because otherwise people wouldn't be interested. You need to. I think people will think they have an idea of what Architects is at this point, and you need to shake that up. And you need to have, you need to make people be like, have you heard the new Architects? You need to listen to this. You need to do that, and it needs to be a special album, and I think we've achieved that, and we worked very hard on it. So yeah, thanks for saying that.
Especially in this period where there's a lot of bands that have been influenced by you, that are coming to the scene, and you have to keep the level and keep the energy, even if you're. Yeah,
we have to constantly try and top ourselves. It's honestly just a massive honor that bands cite us as an influence. But at the same time, you can't rest. You have to keep pushing and trying to be creative, and also you can take inspiration from those bands that have been inspired by you and have maybe done other things with it. So yeah, it's always about learning. You have to keep learning and not be afraid to try and fail and try and succeed sometimes.
And in 11th, I'm old. Not you.
No, I am. I'm feeling it.
How do you do to be okay on stage and everything?
Yeah, I feel good. I think I've been sober for nearly 2 years now.
Yeah.
So I stopped drinking and have been taking care of myself a lot more. Just as you get older, your priorities change. I've done a lot of partying in my life, and now it's the time to be focused. And I think coming into this record, that's what we wanted to achieve, is that we were all pulling in the right direction and giving this album the best possible chance to succeed. And so far, it feels like it's really working.
And do you remember the first time you met metal music, you met alternative rock music? The first time you say, "Oh wow."
Yeah, I think probably the first time that I came into real contact with sort of heavier music was probably Nirvana.
Okay.
I think it was probably Nirvana, around. That was probably the first type of heavy-ish music that I was into. I loved the Beatles and the Stones growing up, so obviously and Led Zeppelin, so they have some heavy moments. But actually, in terms of hearing somebody like shouting and screaming, it was probably Kurt on Nevermind.
What was your feeling at this moment?
I loved it. I just loved the energy. I think I was an energetic kid that didn't really necessarily know where to put all my energy. So I was always running around the place. Not much has changed. I'm pretty similar now, but I loved it, and I listened to that record so much. I still do. I love Nevermind and In Utero so much. Like, those 2 records are unbelievable. I mean, obviously, all of their albums are incredible, but those 2 are the ones that really stick out for me, because they were ones that I just blasted so much when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. But then I went on from there to, Linkin Park, Slipknot, Papa Roach, those kind of bands that were massive then and were important. Limp Bizkit. Just incredibly influential bands on this genre now, Yeah. still to this day. And then I remember finding out about bands like Under Oath and Norma Jean and Killswitch Engage, like bands like this with the screaming and the singing and the sort of more ferocious vocals, more like in the Slipknot world. I guess Slipknot kind of was the gateway into that. And then I've ended up here.
It canalizes your energy. You mean like all this violence, all this aggressive sounds.
Yeah, I think when you're a kid, you just have loads of energy, don't you?
Yeah,
you just have when you're going to shows, and I remember going to shows and being in like mosh pits and stuff when I was a kid, and being like, yeah, this is exactly where I want to be, and you're surrounded by like-minded people. I think when you're a teenager and stuff, you don't know whether you're fucking coming or going. It's a crazy time, right? So music is so important then, and it still is now. It's just. Yeah, you can still listen to those songs. They kind of take you back to that place, don't they? Of course. Like that childhood. I think that's why so many people's favorite records are like records from their childhood, because it's more about like a sort of soundtrack of a time rather than like actually the album itself,
And we used to say that in France, when we listen to this kind of music, your kind of music, the kids are just alone. They don't have friends. They laugh about him.
Yeah.
So what about you? And what about in England?
Yeah. We had that at school as well. We had the like grungers. That's what we were. We were the grungers and the skaters. We had the grungers, the skaters, the punks, and then we had like we were like the sort of outcasty type kids. But I got on with everyone when I was at school. I was sort of like this cheeky chap in between everyone. I could sort of have. I was always very. I'd always just take the piss out of myself. So I think it sort of made everyone sort of laugh before they could sort of try and do anything to me. But I was across the board I was pretty friendly with everybody and sort of knew how to sort of get myself out of trouble.
And at this time you got some rage or maybe anger against the world, the politicians, when you were young, and maybe today also.
Yeah, I don't think much of that changes really. I think when you're a kid, I didn't really have much. I wasn't really paying much attention to what was going on in the world. I think I was more just sort of worried about, what time my friends were coming out to skate. That was really what was going on.
That's nice.
Well, that's kind of where you get to when you get to 36 as well. You start to wonder what time your mates are coming out. So, it's I think when you're sort of in that middle age, the 20s, I felt like that's when I was discovering politics and really getting in there.
And now about your voice in the new album and all the albums you did, I think this is a mix between all your voices, the first ones, like the hard ones, like when you were hurt, the new ones with the technical things and really modern things, and the soft ones, of course. Yeah. Is that true?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've tried to show on this everything that I possibly can show. No, I've tried my hardest to push myself as a vocalist, and I think for a long time I'm not the most confident person in terms of like performing and singing. I think it's not something that comes really naturally to me, but I can do it. And I think over the last couple of years, I've sort of been learning how to get better with that and be a bit kinder to myself. I've had a singing coach for the last year and a half, and she's really helped bring out that side of me as well, and it encouraged me as a vocalist to keep going, and she's been really great. And also working with Jordan and Dan in the studio has been really important.
So your vocals. I've been listening to Architects from the beginning, and we can say that after Holocron there was a change, I guess, because it was too intense to maintain this scream. I guess it was one of my guess. Yeah. That for me the first record are way more shouted, like
on Ruin or on Holocron.
Holocron, especially
very shrill.
Yeah. And after your voice, the scream get more controlled, I guess, and it was a big change. And on the last single you released, which is at the time it's Black Hole, I think. You have an even new technique, like a more bassy scream
like the
low end scream.
Yeah.
That is really impressive. I never really heard this from you.
Yeah.
And I thought I'm like, after all this time, he still finds new things new place to go, and that's great because it gives even more variety to your panel.
I think with Hollow Crown, with that era, I mean, like even from Ruin before it, Ruin, when I was in the studio, I lost my voice.
Yeah,
so
but we can tell when we listen to the album that it's like really real screams.
Yeah. And then with Hollow Crown, I mean, when I did Hollow Crown, I was 18, 17. Your voice changes a lot in that sort of time, you know, if you think...
It was also higher.
Yeah, higher, I mean, because I was a kid.
Yeah,
you know, and I think, you know, when we did Daybreaker, The Here and Now was after that, then it was Daybreaker. That's also a kid that hadn't been on tour. You know, when we did Hollow Crown, I'd done like 2 or 3 tours.
Yeah.
And then we were doing American tours non-stop. And I think by that point, I'd found my voice because being in Architects, I was a drummer. I'd played drums for my life up until that point. So I had no idea what I was doing, which is great as well. You know, I mean, at that point, it's like you don't know what you're doing. You don't know how to look after your voice. You don't care. Yeah. You're just like 17 years old 17, 18 in a recording studio where you're like, I'm going to fucking blow my voice out. Yeah. Let's go. And now I think I'm at a point where like I've, 36 now instead of 17, you know your voice more. But I think a lot of stuff just naturally changes when you grow older. I think there's never been too much technique behind my screaming or singing. It's just been me shouting as loud as I possibly can. But in terms of like actually singing, I've worked very hard, and then that helps the screams as well. I think. And in terms of the low stuff, like I found myself over the years live doing a bit more, a bit here, a bit there. And I think people seem to enjoy it. So I was like, oh fuck it, we'll try and bring some in on this record, and it's fun. It makes things just sound ridiculous because it's so heavy, and then I'm trying to sound like a monster over the top of it. It's funny, and I think with this record, it was so many points where we were like really trying to make it so ridiculous, and it was really coming through.
It's really good.
Thank you so much.
And this way of singing, is that a weapon to say things?
Yeah, it can be. I think it's just quite, especially with this record, I think we're just quite honest and open about where we're at in our lives. I think that's what Dan was trying to get at. I think it's it's not the easiest place to live in, this world. I think everyone has their own issues with it. Life, it can be amazing and it can be hard. I think both things can be true. I think it's important to open up about that stuff, like we have done on this album, and as I have done for years. I think it's important to talk. I think a problem shared is a problem halved. I think that saying is really true. I think if you're walking around carrying that on your shoulders, that burden of what's going on in your head without discussing it, it can be a really lonely place.
And you got some anger again against God.
Yeah, not as much anti-God. I wouldn't say I'm religious. I would say that there's I don't know what is going on. I would say I just don't know.
Getting spiritual with time?
I don't know if I would be getting spiritual. I just don't think I could say either way.
Yeah.
I don't think there's a man in the sky, but I certainly, there's some stuff that's happened in my life that I can't explain.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. You know, I kind of like the not knowing element. Like, how could we? You know, I mean, obviously everything sort of kind of leans towards the fact that there is nothing, but if there is something, that's kind of cool. And for me, I'm like, I enjoy the questioning of it, because that's kind of life, isn't it? Like, why are we here? Why am I sat here now? Why are we having this conversation? And why did I start like creating music as a child to still be here 11 albums in? It's a weird old world, and we're all kind of going through our own separate sort of movies, you know? Yeah. And it's cool. But yeah, Dan's more spiritual than I am. And Dan is he's always bringing religion into a lot of the lyrics, and I think it's important to do that. I think it's the age-old question of, you know, life and death, and what is the purpose in all of this. And I think the older I get, the more I realize that the kind of purpose is just to be kind and to take care of people as best you can, whilst at the same time saying that, trying to take care of yourself, because I think that's something that we all neglect, really, don't we? We speak to people in a much nicer way than we often speak to ourselves. So, yeah.
Also, I think when we get older, knowing that some things are out of our control and things can happen, it also gives a little bit of hope.
Yeah.
I think we need hope
for sure,
right now.
For sure. I think it is a crazy world, and you do hear of these, do experience these moments that are like sort of beyond sort of comprehension, and something like sort of magic almost, you know. And I think that's kind of cool. I don't think everything needs an explanation. And I think obviously some people kind of rack their brains and think they figured it out, but for me, I'm just like, whoa, you know, like that's nuts. And I like the not knowing, and just try and live every day as well as you can. It's not possible every day. I don't sit around and feel as happy and spiritual and awake as I do now. Some days I'm exhausted and don't want to get out of bed, and you know,
we need both.
Yeah, we need both. Yeah, and I think also, like, when you have those times where you want to sit down and relax and just watch TV and just sit around, like, try not to beat yourself up for it, because you've earned the right to be able to do that, you know.
And again, about this album, of course, working with Jordan.
Yeah,
your friend.
Oh, yeah, amazing friend. Yeah,
we can hear that Jordan is over there.
Yeah.
I was with a friend from WeFM, Marie. You saw her in the morning, and I was telling, I don't have the word. Sorry,
yeah.
You know, I'm not technical. I was just like, I can feel him.
Yeah.
She laughed and she said, "Yes, you understand."
Yeah. I feel that. It's funny. I think also, like, I think people associate him with different things as well. He brings so much to the table musically. And I've seen it a couple of times, like you say, like I think people think that he brings like the electronics to stuff, but he's so much more than that, you know, especially with some of the riffs that he was coming out with, and the melodies, and how heavy he can make stuff sound. I think him and Dan together was fantastic, and me sort of being in the middle of it, and us all kind of working together on bringing stuff together was such an amazing experience. I think he's... More than anything, I think people need to know that he's just a great human, and he's the same as me and Dan with the drive. You know, it can be unhealthy. You know, it can be. We can really, all three of us really took ourselves to the edge with this one, and kind of the search for as perfect as you can get it, because I think trying to find perfect is impossible. But we all put everything into this, and he was amazing at kind of bringing out the best of me and Dan as well. You know, being able to have someone come in and pull out and tell us what we were good at. You know, what parts of my voice that he loved or that fans loved, and what people were missing from the drums or the vocal performances. And yeah, he really managed to help pull that out of us.
We can feel that it's more groovy, maybe, or heavy, of course.
Yeah,
but. New metal,
yeah.
I love new metal. Sorry.
There's nods to it everywhere. I mean, how can you not be influenced by it? You know, you listen to Linkin Park and a lot of those bands just influence our entire scene. Really, whether people want to admit it or not, it's ridiculous to not. You know,
the scene wouldn't be there without them.
No, without Linkin Park, without Limp Bizkit, without Korn, all these bands that just set everything up. You know, bands like Deftones, that I wouldn't say are a new metal band, but
they were part of
they were a part of that world that's still going, still influencing us. I have a thing in my head where I'm like, when it comes to our band, I'm like, what would Deftones do? When we get our stuff, or we're looking at videos, or we're looking at tours or anything, in my head, my first thing is like, what would Deftones do? Because I just see them as the ultimate incredible, brilliant band. You know,
for me, so Deftones was one of my favorite bands.
Yeah, the best.
And I think from the new metal era, they were not the most popular.
No,
but they have been the more constant. I
Yeah.
guess. Like
And
all
just-
records are.
and everybody loves them. They're so consistent and just amazing. And you know, I had the opportunity to speak with Chino last year at a festival we were doing. I spoke to him for a while, and just I have absolutely nothing but amazing things to say about him. Just a great person, and he gave me his phone number. We stayed in contact, and yeah, just you know, when people are like, "Oh, don't meet your heroes," and you know, I was not let down there at all.
And there's some solo in your songs in the new album.
Few
I hear
solos,
like everyone's, like in the last single.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
I was surprised, like, oh.
yeah. We've done a few solos now. We did. There's one in New Moral Low Ground on the last record.
Oh.
And yeah, I think there's a couple on the record on this one. I think there's one in this one and another one. But yeah, we're trying to. I think Adam's a fantastic guitarist. So it was about sort of pushing him, really. You know, we wrote that solo in the studio with Jordan, and myself, Dan, and Jordan wrote that, and you know, trying to get him to come to the front and show that he's an amazing guitarist. I think Josh was a fantastic guitarist, and he was you know, an amazing guitarist and shredder. You know, the solo on New Moral Low Ground is crazy, but trying to get Adam to come to the front and take that moment after Josh left, it's been great to see him sort of flourish as a guitarist, because he is an amazing guitarist. He just needs to he needs the support of the band to sort of help him get there. It's not naturally a thing that he would do standing at the front, and I think it kind of goes for all of us. We're not, I wouldn't say that we're like your average rock stars. You know, I would say that we're just four mates that just somehow have still got this. Yeah, like
Still gives place.
Really, yeah. It's we've sort of fallen into it by just really caring about what we do. So yeah, trying to take care of him, bring him forward. I think he's doing a great job, and it's a great solo.
I think in this album, everybody, we can hear everybody, we can feel everybody.
Yeah.
It's more, maybe, I don't know if it's true, but it's sincere. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that we obviously, me, Jordan, and Dan wrote all of it, but actually, when it came to tracking the record properly, we all rented the studio together, and we had like 3 studios going, and it was me, Jordan, and Dan doing vocals. The drums were done before we got there. Which was great, you know, Dan going in and just smashing everything, and because it was the studio near his house, so that was ready to go. So there was the bed of everything. Then we did the vocals, and while we were doing the vocals, all the guitars were being retracked and done properly. And yeah, it was nice to have everybody together to sort of have that, get it over the line as a group, because Architects is, you know, so important. As what's great about us is that friendship, you know, and you can hear that and that personality and in the way everybody performs things. It's it's important to us that people know that it's the 4 of us, and it has been since Lost Forever, you know, since when we got Adam to join. Adam toured with us on 100 Days, which was the end of Daybreaker. So yeah, it was Tom and Adam together, and you know, Adam's been around since then. I think some people still think of him as like a new guitarist, but he's been with us for a while. So yeah, it's the 4 of us, and then we have our 2 session guys that travel with us. Martin, who's been an amazing addition to the touring party. He was our guitar tech for a long time. He was Tom's guitar tech as well. So he stepped up and has been amazing. And Ryan, who was mine and Ali's good friend at home, who's come in and started playing keyboards and doing backing vocals and guitar as well. So it's when we go live, we're a big unit.
And how do you choose the featurings? There's 2. House of Protection.
Well, we went with that. It was real easy. House of Protection, Jordan was working with and has worked with and writes with.
Oh.
And we've known them for a long time. I mean, I've known Steve since 2011, 2012. We've been very good friends since then, and just like literally one of the best people I've ever met. Like just the nicest dude, coolest dude, like so talented. It's just like a real tastemaker. You know, like if he says something's cool, it's cool. You know? And like I back it. Like I completely anything that he fucks with, I fuck with. And when he started House of Protection with Eric, who's like just the most insane drummer ever. Couldn't wait to get them on the record. Like even before I heard House of Protection, I knew it was going to be good because those two are just great musicians. And you add Jordan into the mix, and it's just can't beat it.
And it's not their first project.
Yeah, exactly. So they know what they're doing.
You know what they can do. So
yeah, and with Amira, she was working with Zach, who mixed the record.
Okay,
and Jordan proposed her for the song, and me and Dan were driving back from a festival somewhere. I can't remember where it was, but we listened to her record, and we were like, "Holy shit, this is really good." And she's really, really good, and like just super enthusiastic, and just like she like went into the studio like 2-3 times. And just absolutely smashed it.
Like young blood, also. I think she's part of the like a younger generation.
Yeah.
And a more fresh eye on what's going on.
And I think she's kind of influenced by kind of older music. yeah. There's Deftones influence there for sure. But I think she's kind of got like she leans into everything. I think it's like a really cool alternative, but at the same time, she has this like great pop ear.
Yeah.
But I genuinely think she's gonna be massive.
I think that's what is cool with the younger generation.
Yeah.
Like they take all the old music as the same thing.
Yeah.
Whereas when we grew up, it was even if you're younger than us, but I mean, we grew up in it was more closed.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
I also think like that older music is getting its flowers now. It's getting what it deserves. You know.
But we were talking about Deftones. I think it's exactly what's happening to Deftones. There's so many bands
and like
influenced
Korn
by,
and stuff like that. They're all
Korn are coming back too, like really
bigger
massive,
shows.
like,
Yeah. That's what they deserve. It's what they deserve. I think, as you say, like I think there was a period where
it was a
new
shame.
metal was like a dirty word.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's so crazy. It's like they're like the biggest selling albums of all time.
Yeah.
Like fucking hell. Yeah.
That's so true.
And we talk a lot about mental health in the show. So we used to take a look at the critics on the internet.
Yeah.
Or Instagram.
Yeah.
And sometimes it hurts me.
It hurts.
Yeah, it hurts all the time.
And it's hard to manage it.
Yes.
How do you do?
I don't do it.
You don't read.
I don't read it.
Yeah,
I don't let anyone comment on my stuff. I just think I'm too sensitive. I'm too sensitive, and I don't think there's anything wrong with admitting that. I'm not strong enough to take the criticism, and I don't care enough to take the praise.
Yeah. Take the time to
it's just,
handle it. It's like too much.
And I have done in the past, and it just doesn't serve me any purpose. Like it just makes me sad. There can be 100 amazing, nice comments. There can be 2 that just are awful, and they just sit with you for the rest of the day. And I just think I try to approach it with more empathy than maybe I used to, because I used to just reply to people being like, "Go fuck yourself, eat shit, get a life." But that's just a waste of my energy.
And it makes them happy.
Yeah,
because you took time to answer them.
Yeah, there was a funny thing that the last thing I did before I like stopped. There was someone that gave me a load of shit. It was like he really went in. Then I went on his page, and there was like a GoFundMe that he'd set up for his dog that was ill, and I donated money to his dog that was ill, and just replied to his comment being like, "I've just donated to the surgery of your dog. I hope everything goes well." Nice. And I felt like I didn't do it for any reason. But I didn't broadcast that I'd done it. And I mean, even talking about it now, it feels stupid, but I just did it because I wanted to just show that person that like, I'm just a human. Yeah. And that I like, at that moment, hopefully he was like, oh, he's a good human. And I wanted to just be like, you don't know what's going on in my life or what I'm going through. And his comment was particularly nasty. And then he apologized and was like, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I did that. And I just, even if like that one moment sticks with that one person, then that's cool. But I don't have the energy to go through and do that all the time.
Yeah.
So I just, on my personal
and
page.
it's going to cost you a lot of money.
Yeah.
If the
I'd have
dog,
loads of rescue dogs. Yeah.
And if the dog doesn't have
then I
a
feel bad.
you have to break the dog leg and
and then do another
too
one.
much.
Yeah.
No, it's too
I don't
much.
want to have to go around and set up everyone's GoFundMe's. I think I took comments off of my personal Instagram and I just left it so that friends can comment. And I saw some footballers doing it first, and I was like, this is weird. And then I was like, oh no, because there are limits to what you can share with people or what you're comfortable with sharing with people, right? Like Architect's Band is there for people to leave comments on and say, and I don't have to read that. And my page can be just for my friends, and people can see it, but I just want to have chats with my mates, you know. One of my good friends who'd gone through a bit of a hard time with people on the internet, it's just said to me, he was like, you wouldn't give these people your phone number. Yeah. And I was like, yeah. And he's like, so what's the difference? These people can just reach you straight away and just tell you whatever they want to tell you. I was like, fuck. Yeah. He in fact was like, just delete the app. I was like, yeah, you got a point. You got a point. But no, it's just healthier that way. It's just healthier for me to just not take it in, and it doesn't shape my opinion on our band or anything. You know, I just want to create the best thing I possibly can. You know.
And do you take maybe the critics to do the new album?
No. I don't think we don't really think about sort of what is wanted from us, because then you wouldn't write a great record. I think me and Dan are probably the biggest Architects fans. I think, you know, having been there from the start and seeing everything, I kind of know what I want from an Architects record. And I feel like we've achieved it. I don't really think about like other people listening to it till it's done. You know, when it's like finished and being mixed and then placed in the hands of the label, then you're like, oh God, here we go. You know, then you're like, shit, I hope they like it.
Has it always been like this, or is it something you know how to do with time?
With time.
Yeah.
With time breeds more confidence, right? In like what you're doing. I'm sure like your first interviews with people, you were probably not as casual or calm and good as you are now, you know, like the time and the learning and the mistakes and the successes help you get better. So yeah, I think you just got to trust your gut, really, haven't you? I think in the long run, like what you know when you've done the best you can possibly do. And I know that there's no stone left unturned on this record, and there's nothing that we could have done better.
No,
you know.
Wait a few months and then we'll
figure something
you're
out.
like, oh shit, we should have done this.
Yeah. There's always the way, but
of course.
it's as close as can humanly be to me being extremely happy.
Is there any strong time when you did an album, moments when you are alone, you feel alone, you just cry maybe, I don't know?
Yeah, I have a lot of problems with my mental health. I have a lot of ups and downs and struggles, and I think people see a pretty put together version of myself, but one that's I'm very open and very honest about my mental health. I've been off and on antidepressants most of my adult life. I've been in therapy for a long time. I still have therapy once a week, and my therapist that I've had for the last couple of years has been a life changer, like a complete life changer. And I encourage anybody and everybody to have a therapist and have some form of an outlet. I know it's not everybody can afford it, and I'm sure that there's ways around it. There's some amazing charities out there, but it's been so beneficial to my life. I think going sober the last 17, 18 months has been a massive revelation for my mental health, because I didn't realize how much it was taking out of me on a day-to-day basis, and what it was doing to my body and my brain. But I think I don't think there's ever a quick fix with it. I don't think it's like one day you're depressed, one day you're happy. I think it's an ongoing journey that you have to stay on and take care of and manage yourself, you know, and not drain yourself, and also not be too hard on yourself, you know. I think and talking to people and being honest with people is such an important, valuable asset to have, and as I said earlier on, like a problem shared is a problem halved.
Yeah.
Just being able to have a discussion with someone and say something and have them go, me too, makes you feel a lot less alone. And yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do to take care of yourself. But I think we're all going to go through it at some point, you know.
Friends are good, but the professional is better.
Yeah, absolutely. Friends help you get you in the door, you know.
I'm just asking you that because I always cry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crying's good, man. Crying's good. Sometimes you need to. Sometimes you need to let it out, and you can hold it in, and
it's an expression of the body. No?
Yeah. Sometimes you need to just release and just stop holding it all in, and stop trying to be strong and brave. And I think that the bravest you can be is when you just let yourself be.
Do you feel singing for you is a way of releasing this kind of thing, or it brings you to a place that it makes you more, you know, because it's also a work and you have to go deeper to get.
It depends. I think it's like no 2 days are the same. I don't think for me. I think some days I can really need it. It's great to have a job where you can go and scream your life away when you want to. But sometimes the last thing you want to do is get on stage. Sometimes you just want to go to bed and hide. Yeah. But the crowd and the shows are kind of what gets you through those moments. You know, they'll pull you up when you need to.
When it starts.
Yeah, and when you give to them, you give back. And I think that's the thing that Architects has always done. We've kind of let the crowd know that they're as important to the show as we are. You know, if they want a good show, if they give us some, they'll get a good show. You know, and we try our absolute hardest with that.
So I got a lot of questions, but it's time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you maybe again.
Yes, I hope so.
And have great shows because you're in March in France for 4 shows.
Yes.
It's going to be amazing. Lille,
wait.
Strasbourg, Lyon, et Nantes.
Yeah, I can't wait. It's going to be so fun. And places that we've not been for a while, and can't think of a better way to sort of start off the album campaign.
It's going to be great.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.